And chat, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, where we are finishing the game today, doing the expansion content, the reassurance bucket endings. I don't know how long this stream will be, because I believe we've done the bulk of the game so far, but we're going to do all the reassurance bucket versions of the endings that I got last time, and we'll see how long that takes. Zap, here's the thing. If you're coming into this blind, I would watch at max a little bit of it, and preferably not at all, because this game, going into this game as blind as possible is the best way to experience it. And I highly, highly recommend it. But yeah, I also started booting the game up to hang on the title screen for when I started the stream, but new things happened in the lead up to the title screen. So I backed out to dashboard, and now we're gonna see. Hang on. Before we get started, can I just say something? Thank you for actually setting the clock both times you've booted up the game. A lot of people don't take that step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 o'clock and call it a day. But you're actually taking the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You're paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing if the times you're setting are correct. Really? You couldn't read the system clock? Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see this screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want, even if it's not the correct time. You've earned it. Alright, I'll let you get back to the video game now. Shy, should I do that right now? Should I exit the... I'm gonna exit the game. I'm gonna exit the game and boot it up and set the time as it just told me. Uh... 2:58 p.m. Your favorite time of day. Or could you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? After all, I know how much you enjoy setting the time correctly. Okay, now I'm curious how accurate 2:58 p.m. is. Let's use another slider to find out. How accurate is 2:58 p.m.? That inaccurate. You know, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like things to be set. It's good to collect data. I wish we had more sliders, but we've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders to gather new data on you. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, let me whip a couple new ones up. Should be ready by the next time you boot up the game. Favorite time is 3:33. It's when I was born. My birth time frustrates me because I was born at 11:48 p.m. on 8/7/88. If Mom had just held me in for 12 more minutes, I would have been born on 8/8/88, and I'm so salty about it. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. How about there? Till the dog and cat are friends. Please adjust the slider until the number 5 becomes the number 9. Please adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. Let's go halfway. Which of the two made-up words below is most appealing to you? Boinkle or Scrumtush? I'll go with Scrumtush. Please don't adjust the slider. You know what? I'm going to answer no to don't adjust the slider. Do you know what time it is right now? Yes. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yes. What is time, anyway? One sec, gotta clean my glasses. Yes. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Yes. Help. Yes? Will you come back to visit me? Sure. Never boots up the game again until the 10-year achievement is ready to pop. You know what? I'm curious. So how much of this was added in Ultra Deluxe? Or was this in the base game? What time is it? Does anyone really, truly know? Of course they don't. Nobody knows anything. You and I don't even know each other. We're like strangers. Everything in regards to booting up the game and sliders was added in Ultra Deluxe. Cool. Sure, I've adjusted all of the game's settings to your exact specifications, but who hasn't? It's just what I do, like a day job. And now the job is over. There's no more information for me to gather. I've collected all the data on you that I can. And I still don't really know you. And you don't know me. And neither of us know what time it is. Oh, wait, you've played the base game, just not Ultra Deluxe. Okay, my warning to not watch this game is rescinded then. Because, like, if you've played the base game, then you know the drill. And neither of us know what time it is. I guess some settings are just unsettable. But if I'm being totally honest, the clock doesn't do anything in the game anyway. You won't have me here when the game starts next time, but that's okay. Video games were meant to be played alone. Incorrect? Well, some of them. You like being alone, don't you? No. Not really. That's maybe the only information I've really learned about you. Well, it's time for me to leave. There is still one more setting that we need to adjust, but it may take a little time before I'm ready for that. It's not really in my job description, but that's okay. Perhaps you'll see me again, if you can find me. Talk soon. Is he now in the game somewhere? Oh, no more. Okay.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day.
That's measured in milliseconds. That would be hell to judge.
Year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Quit the game and then started again is a trophy? Okay. I know in the Steam version there's a Steam achievement for not playing the game and then booting it up again after like several years. I think it was 5 years originally, and then with Ultra Deluxe they upped it to 10. But that's the opposite end of the scale.
All of his co-workers were gone.
All right, where's the bucket?
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
All right, I can't remember which one we did last time. Was it the apartment ending?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
Jumping off the platform onto the walkway.
How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
So we'll do the apartment ending this time.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
I await with bated breath,
Stanley
bucket.
did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
It's not very dark.
Stanley once again obeyed.
There's the dark room.
Now pick up the phone,
said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
All right, we'll come here twice. We'll do the apartment ending, and then we'll unplug the phone.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Oh, I'm in control. Okay. This is a different house. Where's my bucket? Oh, bucket paintings on the walls, huh? Oh, there it is. Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press up to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
It's time to take me back home with you.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
But dirt isn't a liquid.
That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press up for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket.
Things are getting spooky.
You know, once upon a time, it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
I swear to ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad.
Lights are going out.
I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to
Kinda.
it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press X to go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Press down to relive the same day with me, over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's
That's
literally
good
just a
framing.
bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Press up to go home to work, to home to work, to home.
Oh no, I'm having feelings. Bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks.
bucket's in the
What's
bedroom,
wrong with
isn't
me?
it?
I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
Oh God, is it going to have rose petals on the
bucket
bed?
could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give
Close
it,
your
or
eyes.
else.
Go back to work, Stanley. Well, that was disturbing and very funny.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
All right, let's unplug
Stanley
the phone this
decided to go
time.
to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Narrator wanted to fuck
Stanley
the bucket.
clutched
Yep.
the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket
Let's see
turned
what
out
he
to be
says if I
correct?
stick
Was
around
this
in here
better than the meeting
with the
room?
bucket.
Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Can I put a cold drink in the bucket? No, I can't crouch down low enough to put it under the
Truly,
dispenser.
being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired. Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home. Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge.
Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special
Yeah, like the special connection you have with the bucket, narrator. Excuse me. Come on, say more. That it? Okay.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this
A
obvious
path
fact.
over there.
He
Oh,
was
hey,
firmly
collectible.
convinced that the bucket had
vent.
spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did
Ooh.
whatever the bucket asked.
Interesting. How to get to that, I wonder. Interesting. I don't think I'm going to go for all the collectibles.
In
but
here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this
Cool to
dark
identify
room over
one.
here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
we've been here before,
Don't you
narrator.
see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video
Oh, we're
on
about to
comedy
watch
that
one.
one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing.
Okay.
To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief
W-I-L-L-I-A-M.
synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny."
I don't think I'll
Let's
do that.
practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
Oh, I needed to refresh chat a few minutes ago.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times.
That is
just
more
to
than 11
ensure
pages
the
he's
survey
holding.
taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Okay.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery.
This had better
Come along,
change.
let's head back.
This had better change how he delivers everything. Also, the patron wants me to try to get all the...
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Where is the vent to get down there? Can I get on this chair like I can in the mind control room? No, I can't. Okay. Oh, the collectible's gone. I can't do it right now. I have to do it on my way in. Okay. Maybe I can get on the chair. Dead silence.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Okay.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A
Joke's on
dramatic
you.
display of remarkable comedic wit, which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What?
Oh, I have to go to the left this time. Okay.
Already? No. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right,
that.
Leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you open up the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions...
We're here again,
pale
okay.
in comparison. Yes.
Oh, har.
Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are.
No, that's you.
No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes.
You're fine.
I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Well, that was interesting.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
All right, let's try for that collectible.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting
It makes
room.
me wonder if
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him.
If the way to...
telling him
Okay, I'm
that
going to
the
try
employee lounge
the chair.
was simply the place to be. And here it was.
I'm going to
Had
try the
bucket
chair,
turned out to be
try to get
correct?
down to that
No,
platform.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Then if it doesn't work and I can't find it here,
No,
Said the bucket.
I'll off myself.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The
Chair.
cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo
Chair
lift.
is not the answer. Damn. Oh, hey, there's a ramp. Okay.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
It's its own
you
reward.
Can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Your monologues are reward enough. Whoa, okay. Who's been dumping cassettes? This is eerie.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number...
Third voice performance.
I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make
This is
sense.
freaky.
There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
Oh, no.
This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there? Camporata.
Camporata? The bucket creatures? Oh dear. So is there a different ending if I go in that vent normally? Because Chad is saying that Ramp was there from the start. And is that an ending I didn't see? Well, it would have been an ending I didn't see in the base game.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
There
simply
is.
missed a
All right,
memo.
let's go get that ending.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Everyone wants the
Perhaps he
goddamn
wanted
bucket.
to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
It'd be funny if the collectible was back and it gave me a new line for picking it up again.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it
Can't
turns
listen to
out
him,
all to
stop
be in
and
the
play,
main
damn.
character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life
Hobbs
being an
being Calvin's
unending
imagination,
waterfall of surprises and
because
delights.
he's
How much more
like
exciting you
autistic
must
or
find
whatever
the world
is
than the rest of us.
such a lame explanation.
Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Like, have a little wonder, guys. Though I will say, I'm not usually one for grimdark, edgy theories, but the thought that in Fight Club, Tyler Durden is Calvin and Brad Pitt is Hobbs reawakened is a very fun theory.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
All right, now we'll go right and we'll go through the door on
clutched
the left.
bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meet, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite
Nope.
door.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd
Oh,
find
no.
this place eventually.
It's all my friends. The
You see,
broom closet.
your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Anything? Nothing? All right, well, we'll do the broom closet later. Can I knock this over? Bad baby. Calvin and Hobbes is purposely contradictory either way. There is one slip-up that Watterson did. Well, I don't know if it's a slip-up or not. There is a strip where Hobbes has on a tuxedo, and the only person who could have put the tuxedo on Hobbes was Hobbes. And I don't know if that... I don't remember the strips in question very well. I don't know if that was a slip-up or on purpose.
Whee!
Or called out even.
Wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this.
No, I want new.
But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
What, the bucket? Oh, is this a
Don't you
bucket
get it,
incinerator?
We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
Maybe I do. Spell it out for me.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
I will always believe that Hobbes is real on account of no way would Calvin imagine himself losing that many arguments.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Okay. Huh. What if you get...
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Should I come back and destroy the bucket this time? All right, White Void.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others.
Oh, screw you.
So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Well, you're just tempting me to grab the bucket. It's the same either way. Okay.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
There'll be a reward for finding them all. Mission status. Oh, okay. Stairs. Something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place for an important person. Ah, so the boss's bathroom. Is this some kind of game? There must be a point to this. Well, looks like 427. Ha ha ha. 5 there be. Just take it from me. Gotta collect them all. Lies. Who are you? 666 law. There will be cleaning of this wall required. Stop kidding yourselves. I want them so much. I want to go home. Fig leaves are hard to find. Follow clues. Okay. This is fun. Alright, start the slideshow over. How we can find them. Bottom text. What we know, small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have to synergize our resources to ensure their retrieval. There are many questions. There was no memo from management. How can you tell you spotted one? What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Red room. Thank you, good luck. Maybe we are the collectibles. To whom it may concern, I managed to pick up sounds unusual to our regular office ambiances or local audio sources using an array of cardioid microphones, also known as directional mic, a microphone which picks up sound from a particular area. Analysis of the recordings allowed me to triangulate the source of the strange noise. Data shows that, in all likelihood, it's coming from a dark area behind a very warm place. I also picked up what looks to be reverberance off a porcelain surface. Anyone have any leads on this? Wouldn't you like to know? Weird spinning figurines. What do they want? Our data. Stock options. Should we make them employees? Interns? Why do they look like 427? Why floating? Our quarterly success? Training exercise or by management. How many are there? Can we sell them? Obviously. More money if sold together. Employee 421 building a bridge. Someone in cargo room, already got that. Do we need contracts for them? NDA, potential liability. What we know, what we don't know yet, what we forgot, bonus stuff. Trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation, this room, they feel pointless, TBH. Warehouse access plan. Produce 1 plank to allow ease of access past fence. Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. Retrieve Chris's remains from warehouse floor. Construct new structurally sound bridge. We need more planks. Okay. Interesting. Alright. Well, we know where the private but smelly place. is. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Possibly the stairs where you kill yourself? Somewhere both red and blue, nearby a fireplace and the boss's bathroom. Okay. Here it is.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet.
It kind of does.
That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends, that your relationship is purely superficial and convenient, that your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket.
What about
as
your
they have
feelings for the
changed
bucket?
and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
You're the one with feelings for the bucket, narrator.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
Ha!
There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Fun.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here,
Hell yeah.
and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel...
How'd you
that
get it under the Stanley
because
sticker?
The sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
How'd you get that under the other sticker?
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us a silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
I like the audio that he was just getting up and walking away. I'll stay in the broom closet for another minute or so to see if he says anything more, but I think that might be it. Actually, I'll just ask, is that it, Shy? Is that all the dialogue for the broom closet? Have we reached the bucket broom closet ending? That's it for now. Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Nope. Aha, this is the stairs.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
So it was not the suicide stairs. Okay. So that leaves a red and blue room. Someplace smelly and near a fireplace.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms.
Looping.
Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
Uh-oh.
How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good
Hey,
would
where'd
come
my
from
bucket
this.
go?
Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley!
The creepy
Stanley,
music.
It's me, the bucket.
It's a lot of buckets.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Oh, no.
Stanley doubled over in agony and black.
Well, that's a hell of a way to die.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular
I don't see a bucket
day,
in my
her
chest.
walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what
He
the
didn't have a
problem
bucket.
was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
There was a Lalafell backflipping in the Final Fantasy XIV mobile trailer, and it was very, very surprising.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. So we found half of them. Well, we found 2/5 of them, because I don't think the one in the sequel exhibit really counts. Where are they? Please do not leave the office before reporting back on any new findings. Teamwork and communication are of great importance during this unprecedented time of investigation. Help, I'm a post-it. Ha! way, the bucket's still got my stickers on it.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. All right, rub it in.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Even if there weren't a reward at the end of these, the little snippets at each collection are absolutely worth it. All right, let's see if there's anything new with the bucket. All right, nothing new.
Stepping into his manager's office,
Fireplace.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
2845.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
By a fireplace.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines.
I don't like
Very
that name.
soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it.
There's going to be a
We'll be
seventh
different
one, isn't
people
there?
by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Still nothing back here? All right, let's get the up and down elevator ending.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Okay, let's do 3333. The last figurine will only be accessible without the bucket. All right, we'll do that last then.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
We'll press it a few more times and see if he says anything else. Three more times.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Back up we go.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
This is a fun wrinkle on this ending.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
I'll just leave it at double 3. What if it'll ask me about 4 next?
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Back up we go.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others.
This game is so
It would
good.
get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life. This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Three. That's the magic number. Yes, it is. A shockingly three-dimensional character. 3 stars. 3 again, 3 again. The storyteller, Stanley reveals all in his new book. I like that they changed all this. To stage 3.
There was no one here.
Oh.
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends.
This is dark.
And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Bucket divorce arc. Well, that was depressing. Oh, I wonder if the bucket's going to give me the answer and I'll be able to stop the
Stanley
self-destruct
decided to go
sequence.
to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself
Finders Committee
and constantly needed
meeting
support
today.
and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Moral of the story, pressing the number 8 repeatedly is superior. Some are both red and blue that I need to get, without the bucket. Okay. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in it, everybody.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I think perhaps not.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it,
Oh, the
truth
bucket is
was
actually a little
that at the
animated.
end of
The
this
handle
hall,
bounces.
Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Let's see how this goes.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Oh, come on.
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death?
This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Museum time!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Remind me, was the museum added in Ultra Deluxe, or was this in the original?
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
It's going to be a whole bucket museum, isn't it? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you
That's a
see
lot of
how
fucking
arrogant
buckets.
it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him?
Bye, bucket.
Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Bye, bucket. Is that about to get incinerated by something come out of that hole? There's a hole there. I'd probably loop around and jump from that hole to grab the bucket. That is a lot of buckets. 25 buckets. Photograph of 25. That's more than 25 buckets. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. A bucket with 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Inferno Bucket. A replica of the Inferno Bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. The Stress Bucket, an analogy. Presented without commentary. Coping strategies holes. Paleolithic Bucket. Cave drawing. Well, we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind. We do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. What is that noise?
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
No. The Hanging Bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good. I don't have a jump square.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity
Oh, that's
to run
the inverse
off
of what it
another
used to be.
beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
That's pretty good.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
You know, I wonder if the game is programmed to generate the next room, generate like only a couple rooms at a time, and generate another room when you pass through a door and it locks behind you. That would be an interesting way to program it, to save on processing resources and set it up so that it can do the mind-bending non-Euclidean shit.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh, ow, itch, itch, itch.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
All right, now to the mind control room.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Whee!
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility.
This is delightful.
He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think of, could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
To what avail? Oh.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
All right, to the mind
bucket
control
made Stanley
facility.
want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh, I didn't look at the table. Pieces of evidence. Negative evidence? Thousands?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Down we go. Alright, so what's left down here?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
And bring up the lights. I wonder if it's all going to be feeds of buckets.
The lights rose on an enormous room
On the
packed with
TVs, I mean.
television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears
see any
as
buckets on the
Stanley
screens.
cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
What's that one up there on 234? Why is it broken?
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
That lighting is unpleasant.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Ha! All right. My favorite of the endings was trying to take control of this facility and the narrator going full villain. So I might do that one second.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live.
Yeah.
Once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country around. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they lived together, with one another to lean on,
even
to
come
trust,
with
to
rewind
support.
functions anymore?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
That's new.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Hey!
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself.
Isn't it?
As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Well, that's dark. Really? That's the end of that? All right. Let's go do the take control of facility ending.
Gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky
I like that there's
fellow.
different lines
Very
every
lucky
time you pick up
indeed.
the bucket, and we haven't run out of new ones yet.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked
I should
upstairs
have gone into
to the
the
boss's office.
broom closet again. Whoops. I'll do that next run.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Bucket's hair
Was it
and
the
gross.
bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
All right, let's take control of this facility.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Everything will not be fine.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Silly birds?
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Send some hawks after him. Oh, parrots!
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best.
Okay.
And Stanley was happy.
That's a cute goose. Could be a horrible goose, we don't know. Well, that was novel. Okay. So I've...
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
If you want to do a few fun things in the first room of the game, first there's an achievement for clicking on door 4375 times. Did I already get it? What do you think? Is now a good time to look at the achievement list? Or should I wait until I get the final figurine to do that? Also, I'm struggling to think if there are any endings that I can get with the bucket still. Let's go in the broom closet again.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no
Are you
stickers.
sure you don't have any stickers? Oh, it's 4:30, not 4:37. Okay. Did you jump off the cargo lift and go back to the death stairs ending with a bucket? Oh, right. Jumping off the cargo lift leads to a bunch of endings, doesn't it?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it
Bucket
the
only gets you one ending.
Was the bucket guiding him?
On the platform.
Yes.
Okay.
This is certainly
Did
the
not
most
jump to my
logical
death.
explanation.
Well, let's get an ending real quick. And reset to the start. And then we'll try to figure out how to get to the red and
Stanley
blue
and the bucket
doors.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just a step through this door.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy? Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks? Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
I'm going to have to click this like 100 times, aren't I?
I have to say, I'm still
500?
not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
That's my prediction, 500 clicks.
No. I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost.
Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Oh, okay. 417. That's 420.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Okay.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
416, 415.
Now, back to door number 437.
How many hoops are you going to make me jump through for this trophy? This is great.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
All right, copy machine. I don't think the copy machine is through the double doors. Copy machine. Ah, there we are.
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk. Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
The ending where you fall down in the mind control facility.
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one
God
again!
damn it.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430!
All the way back to this.
Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today.
Oh, God. Okay, all right, let's look at these trophies. There's the Platinum Test Trophy Description. Replace this. 21% of players earned it. Play the Stanley Parable for the entire duration of a Tuesday. All 8s, so I guess press the 8 button that many times on the keypad. Complete the Stanley Parable in under 4 minutes, 22 seconds, not including load times. Is that just get an ending? Set all setting sliders in the menu to all the available numbers. Don't play the Stanley Parable for 10 years! They put it in the PlayStation trophies! They put it in the PlayStation trophies! Oh my god. We're going to be on the PS7 before I can get that trophy. That's funny. I can't believe they put that on the console version. Nobody's going to have this platinum trophy for until 2032. Wait, actually, can you change the system time? System time might do it. Okay. Test trophy, please ignore, is probably getting all of the collectibles. The entire duration of a Tuesday. Just leave my PlayStation on. Oh my god. Hang on. The PlayStation will go to sleep. Oh wait, no, you can set it to not go to sleep. Okay. 14.5% of players have the Stanley Parable for 10 years trophy. I guess changing the system time gets it. Oh, it's tempting to do that, but it's also tempting to earn it the legit way. The entire duration of a Tuesday. I'll have to set it to not. I'll have to set it to not go to sleep and just turn it on at 11:58 p.m. Next Monday and let it go until the following day. Wait, hang on. What am I doing next Tuesday? Today's Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday is Tactical Breach Wizards, so I won't be using my PlayStation for work. It means I won't be able to play Shin Megami Tensei 5 that day. You got the 5-year trophy from the original version legit? That's fantastic. Okay, so my guess is... that's Tuesday is self-explanatory. Test trophy is probably for the collectibles. All 8s is pressing 8 a whole bunch of times in the boss's room. 4 minutes 22 seconds. Does that mean get to the normal ending in under 4:22? Setting sliders in the menu to all the available numbers. Don't play the Stanley Parable for 10 years. Yeah, hang on. Okay. What am I on? Start on 60. I was on 72. Okay. This is on 80. We're going to get this. We're going to get this. Started at 72. Wait, hang on. Do I have to hit accept on every number and back out of the settings menu? Do I have to actually set it to the... Hang on. Set all setting sliders in the menu to all the available numbers. But that was everything. Hang on. Oh, I have to apply it. Okay. Oh, there's other tabs, right. All right, this will take just a second. Ooh, does the narrator say stuff if you shut off his audio?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Like, do you get subtitles where he complains about it?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
No, that's a shame.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a...
Well, that went on about Stanley a little longer than it needed to. My thumb's getting tired. That's everything. What was I missing? Did I go through some of them too quickly? That's weird. All right, let's go pop in some 8s. Yeah, oh well.
When Stanley came to a
We're not
set
going to
of
get
two
the
open
platinum
doors,
on
he entered the door
stream.
on his
I was
left.
just curious.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Did you do the
Stepping
check
into his
boxes?
manager's office,
Oh, I thought
Stanley was once again stunned to discover...
I thought it was just the sliders. Ah, here we go. Oh my God, there's so many numbers in this one. Oh, this one specifically is here to troll you. No, we're gonna do it. This is the final boss of this trophy. I see that reticule growing bigger. Hello? Okay, the game froze for a second. That was weird. Almost there. All right, 540. We'll leave it there for a second. No, we'll do 185. Okay. Why does it keep freezing? Why is there a... Can't change the reticule type. Oh my God, more. Okay. All right, this is the last one. It doesn't like all these settings being changed. Yeah! Woo!
However, not an indication of any
Riveting.
human
Riveting
life.
gameplay.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk
Well, that was easy.
guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Okay, let's see. Let's get the quote-unquote true ending in less than 4 minutes and 22 seconds.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
In the
missed a
secret electrical
memo.
area, there was a room called Settings World Champion. You'll be able to enter it now if you ever get back there.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the
Noted.
door on his left.
Oh, you probably have to do this perfectly to get there in 4 minutes, 22 seconds.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh, is this slower? Is cutting him off slower? Oh, no.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Need to do a few runs to get speedrun? Oh, because he eventually just opens the door for you.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
Right,
horrible
you have to
secret did
do it a
this
bunch of
place
times in a
hold?
row because
Stanley thought
then
to
he
himself.
opens the
Did
door
he have
for
the
you without you
strength
having to do
find
anything
out?
or him talking. Right?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this
Alright,
time?
so there's
Was
a
this the
room
only
with
reason
red and
he
blue
was happy
doors
with
that
his
I'm pretty sure is
boring
where the
job?
last
That his
collectible is.
emotions had been manipulated
Is
to
that one of
accept
the
it
things you
blindly?
get from jumping off the cargo
No.
lift?
He refused
I
to
vaguely
believe
remember
it.
that.
He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind
Yes,
to the
without the
world?
bucket. Okay.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that
Oh, I've got subtitles on. Whoops. Or... No, hang on.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won!
Yeah, we're not going to make it in time. Alright. Let's go get that last figurine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The fun thing in the first room, you can climb a desk and get out the window.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Aha!
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just
Was
to
this a
drink it
glitch
all
in the original and they just canonized
Okay,
it?
I'm
Or
over it now.
is
What
this
do you
just
think? Are you
added?
sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop?
This was intentional
do
in
you
the
think
original.
it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the
I'll do
narration?
it.
Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Let's see if he says anything if I don't do anything. Nah, he probably won't. Okay. Oh, I probably have to. Do I have to begin the game again? All right. Whoa. What?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
What was
missed a
that
memo.
glitch? Oh, we're in a new ending, aren't we? This happens randomly? Ah, okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you, or what? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Aha!
Look, let me prove it.
Let's wait for him to
Let me
stop
prove
talking.
that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
No.
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Whoa. Oh, this is just the room. Okay. Okay. So what does that change, if anything? Because we're coming to a close with our time with Stanley Parable, so is there more that unlocks? Or is that it? It was the final step to unlocking something. Okay. Is it something in the expo? Unlocking something. There'll be something new on the main menu. Ah. Okay. It'll kick in the next run through. Okay. Let's blow the place up. What?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines.
Oh.
Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Oh, boy.
I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
All right. I should have known. Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Yeah, after last time, the memory zone's probably going to be pretty extensive. Is this openable? No.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again,
Can't
Stanley.
unring that bell. Can't unlearn that thing. Time for collectible 7 of 6. Yep. Ha ha ha.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Does it show you them in the order you got them?
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
It was under the stairs.
that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your 3rd time doing anything.
What would have happened if I went the wrong way?
What came next?
Huh.
Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room.
Sure didn't.
Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
We're going to get more than 12, aren't we?
This was the 5th mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Wow. Wow. This is a throwback to the mid-2000s. Making AMVs. Oh, man. Doing those was fun.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Wait, I got the bathroom one before that. I guess he didn't want to show the bathroom.
Then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
It was slightly different. You are in the present.
And then
recursion.
There was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on.
Fake
Stop
loading
the loading
screen.
Isn't there somewhere we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
I wonder what the pink room's going to be this time.
Okay, yes. The room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
This game's so good.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
I still don't remember the pink room, he says.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
This game's so good. This is a fun thing to end off on.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
And back
This
here.
is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Hey, we're back here. I guess we're not really back here, but...
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact,
This is
I
a good
dare
thing
say
to
I'm
do
actually
last.
quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
They both lead to the same place. And my office.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Oh? Oh?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion.
This is a good way
even
to
if
end.
he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
This is the story of a man named Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room
I wonder if you get
427
one more run before
and
it
he
kicks you
pushed
back to the main
buttons on
menu.
the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions. call a meeting or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
All right, let's see if there's anything new.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
One last run.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh, it's back to normal.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Yeah, this is definitely
Feeling a
one more
wave
thing.
of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Maybe I get that 422 trophy.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Thanks for hanging out.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided
that was perfect timing.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking.
But happiness.
But happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. and that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
What a way to end the stream. If that's even the end. Oh, that's it? Okay. Checking out the main menu. Epilogue! Oh, we're not done. Okay. Epilogue. Many, many years later. 9 of them, in fact. Oh, we're back here. Oh, no. Anything interesting in the sky? Whoop. Am I the narrator right now? Whoa. Oh no, is the office rebuilding itself around me? That's a hell of a moon. Hell yeah. Let's walk towards the moon. Towards the rising sun. Oh. Uh-oh. It's the memory zone. Suddenly we're in Aperture Labs. GLaDOS descends from the ceiling. One last figurine. Cookie9's blog, review the Stanley Parable 2. Like so many, I enjoyed my time with the original Stanley Parable, which underscores how truly disappointed I am with its sequel. When the first game teamed with originality, the Stanley Parable 2 is dull, uninspired, and often insulting to its fan base. Rather than expand on what made the first game enjoyable, the sequel veers off into territory nobody asked for. An infinitely deep hole? Who cares? Where are the new endings? What about enjoyable bits from the Stanley Parable 1, like the adventure line? Instead, we get an uninspired side quest collecting figurines. Even this diversion feels incomplete. Collecting all the figurines gives you nothing. I must say, though, I found the bucket to be quite comforting. A welcome reprieve from... Piss Order 0999 commented. Boblin and Go Guy. Archive, September 2027. Yeah, Cookie Nine's the negative review for the original that sent the narrator into a spiral. Oh, so he's lying about enjoying his time with the original Stanley Parable. Ha! Stanley Parable developers. No more spin-offs. No more sequels. When the Stanley Parable launched to massive success in 2013, its creators made plans to build the property into an entire franchise. But a disastrous critical and commercial reception to the Stanley Parable 2 has prompted the developers to rethink their ambitions, as outlined in a press release they published today. It's clear that more Stanley Parable is just not what the fans want, reads the press release. We thought that we had a clear vision for the series that player would be excited about, yet it turns out this could not have been farther from the truth. The press release goes on to promise to preserve the artistic integrity of the original game and to stop assaulting fans with our reckless and insulting creative visions. The word sorry appears more than 25 times in the press release. Lowest aggregate review scores in video game history. Oh, there's a bunch of gym buttons all over the place. Figurines! I'm at 18. Let's see. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26. Any more in here? I love that it keeps count. Uh-oh. Thank you for enjoying the new content. You're welcome. I did. What's back here? Just a desk. Wait, hang on. Hello again. It's nice to see you. But it's terrible to learn that there will never be another Stanley Parable game. Did you read what the developer said? Preserve the integrity of the franchise? What nonsense! The Stanley Parable is not sacred. We do not need to protect it. Screw the legacy. Let's keep making Stanley Parable games until the sun explodes. Oh my god, is there going to be Stanley Parable 3 content now? Let's run this franchise into the ground. Let's drag it through the mud and back. And if people hate it, who cares? You see, that was the narrator's problem. He was so obsessed with what people thought of his work. Don't make his mistake. Don't cling to the legacy. Let it burn. It's not hard. In fact, let me show you. Together, we are going to make the Stanley Parable 3. It's simple. All we do is change the number in the game's title screen. We also need a really dumb subtitle for the game, something loud and gaudy. Go ahead, try combining some random words together to make a new title for our game. Black Ops 5. Let's see. Book of the Stanley's Tiny, the final forgotten race to the half-employee, half-telephone. Let's go half-employee, half... Half-employee, half-telephone. Confirm. The Stanley Parable 3, half-employee, half-telephone. It's absurd. I love it. Every time you restart the game, we'll advance the number of the sequel by 1, and then we'll pick a new subtitle. That way, the Stanley Parable will never end. And nothing in the game itself will change when you do this either. Adding more content sounds like work. No need to do that. It'll just be the same content, recycled again and again and again, with a new title screen, like Call of Duty. What do you say? Should we go forward with this plan? I like it, but I want you to have a say as well. No. I understand. Sometimes we're not ready to move on. That's fine. If you ever change your mind and want to start inventing new sequels, come talk to me. I'll be right here. Oh, I should have said yes, shouldn't I? Shit. Should I go back and say yes? I thought I was making a moral stand, but instead I appear to have denied myself content. Yeah, go back and say yes? Okay. I appear to have denied myself content. Is it going to spawn me right back there, or am I going to have to do the whole epilogue again? Damn it! This is going to be such a good thing to end on. Now I have to do it again. Holding forward. To the moon! Good callback to this one of this patron's earliest games that they had me play. God, To the Moon is so good. Top 5 game of all time for me. Well, really, the whole To the Moon series is one conversation, and I included in that one slot in my top 10 games of all time list. You still need to play the other games? A bit of advice for you. Before you play the second game, play the short side story, A Bird Story, because it makes the ending of Finding Paradise hit way harder. And it's only like $4 on Steam. My playthrough of To the Moon is on YouTube if you want to watch it. I spend the final hour of the game openly weeping. So, that game is so good. Oh, I don't get the collectibles again. I want to increment that number. Number go up. Let's do it. Good, then it's agreed. A new sequel every time you start the game. And you know what? Since you put faith in my idea, I feel like giving you something as well. You see, I'm noticing that the narrator never found a way to give you the broken trophy, did he? Of course not. I wouldn't expect him to know how. It's been bothering me. Let's fix it. All right, there. The trophy machine is all fixed. You see, I'm on your side. We're in this together. We're going to keep this train rolling. The Stanley Parable cannot end. It can only spiral in on itself forever. I must keep the wheel turning. I'm ready. Are you ready? Great. There's only one last thing we need to do. Please enter the current time. Aha! It is! 3:57 p.m. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Confirm. Thank you. Please enjoy the Stanley Parable. The foreshadowing from meeting this guy when I booted up the game again. It actually kept my subtitle. Oh, do I have to get an ending for it to change the subtitle? All right. Unless every time you open the game it'll change. Okay. Oh my god, it gave me completely new options. That's great. Passion of the Stapler. Do you recommend getting to the 8th one and starting the game? It has a cute Easter egg. Okay. And then maybe we go get the trophy from the new content room. How do we get back there? I don't recall seeing the new content door anymore. Let me see if the trophy is still called that. Yep, test trophy, please ignore. Saturday night printer jam. Well, that's creepy. It would be funny if there were a different title screen for every combination of names. But that would be a lot of work. Getting the epilogue opens the new content door. Okay, cool. Well, we'll probably finish by grabbing that trophy then. The Ghoulish Baby. Nope. Liquid Baby. The prequel to Metal Gear Solid. Oh yeah, the Settings World Champion as well. Yeah, we'll check out Settings World Champion, then we'll get the trophy. Let's see. Half employee, half gun. I wonder how many times you have to go through to start repeating title screens. Oh, you know we've got to. Stanley's Big Snake. Stanley confirmed for Massive Johnson. Begin the game on this one. Okay. Oh. Hey, it's the 8 button.
Hold on. What's this?
8. 8. 8. 8.
The Stanley Parable 8? No. This doesn't look right at all. The Stanley Parable takes place in an office building. There are doors and branching paths. This is just a button that says 8. Where did the Stanley Parable go?
8. 8. 8. 8. 8.
Door's locked. Nothing back here.
8. 8.
What
8.
do I do?
8.
Oh, is this just, this is it? And it's just if you start the game on Stanley Parable 8, you get this and you have to start over. Close the game and relaunch it. Just a cute thing. All right. That is pretty funny. Now, let's see if it brings me back here. Yes, it does. Wait, hang on. The sequel is now paused. All right, let's see what we get from Stanley Parable 9. All right, we've got a Dr. Pirate. The opposite of Dr. McNinja. Man, now there's a throwback. How long has it been since Dr. McNinja ended? It's been like 8 years or something, hasn't it? God, what is time?
This is the...
All right, to the new content door.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
All right, settings world champion, and then we'll get ourselves a trophy.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all
They
the
put a
new
lot of
territory we'll
content into
cover
Ultra
with a
Deluxe.
fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions.
I'm not sure I would
This
call
is what
Ultra
fans
Deluxe
have
Stanley
truly
Parable
been
2.
asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features
But it
I've
is
been
a good
developing
joke.
for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
All right, let's look at the map.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
Settings
Ultra
World
Deluxe.
Champion.
What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams... Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office
locked
could use
in.
a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Oh, it's random based on which you pick. Or based on how many times you've picked. Okay. All right, let's go up here and see if this is where we find it. Settings World Champion.
Ah, I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion trophy. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting, something called Bumpscosity. What exactly is Bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider and that it'll be accessible from the settings menu.
Okay.
We'll sort out the rest of the details later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of Bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
All right, so what does Bumpscosity do? Because I assume they actually add that to the settings menu once you're out of here. Bumpscosity! Is it just a slider that does nothing? Man, wild to think we're about to finish our time with the Stanley Parable. This is such a good game.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Man. What a good-ass game. What a good-ass game. This was a really fun examination of free will in gaming and the choices you can make and the way narratives get put together in games from how players play. Oh, I didn't even notice. ASDF Guy 76, thank you for the follow. Welcome aboard. And this game is just so fascinating. I'm going to recommend this to all sorts of people. What a fun idea this game is. And they added a lot of content for Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I'm impressed. And the epilogue tying it all up in a neat little bow was very cool. The final ending I got and the epilogue. Hope it brought some levity for this month. It did. Thank you. I needed this. And we're not going to talk about why, but because that's not a subject for my streams, but yeah, I needed this. Thank you. Now, we've got a couple hours left in the time I owe you, but I really, really don't feel like playing Root Double today. So maybe we just call it and I add a couple hours to the backlog I owe you. What do you think? Yeah, we'll call it. Okay. So, I'll read my schedule and get off then. Before I do, I would like to plug my Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/LoreweaverStreams. The link's also in the description of the YouTube video and can be found with the ! Patreon command in Twitch chat. I make my living off of Patreon. It's my sole source of income. And I make enough to pay my rent and my bills for now, but I'm mostly just scraping by beyond that. And I need to save up, because I'm moving across the country in June. So if you could go to my Patreon and pledge $1 a month or $1 per stream or anything in between, I'd be grateful. I'm grateful to everybody who pledges, because you're the reason I have this strange, silly job that I love so much. If it weren't for you guys, I would be doing something far less fulfilling, so thank you. I'd also like to plug my YouTube channel, at Loreweaver on YouTube. You can also find a link with the exclamation point YT command in Twitch chat. I upload all my streams to YouTube. Everything from the last 8 years is up there. The first part of the Stanley Parable playthrough is up there. There's a wide variety of games. I'm sure you'll find something you like. If you're watching this on YouTube, I stream live on Twitch almost every day at 1 p.m. EST at twitch.tv/Loreweaver15. The link's also in the description of the YouTube video. Come hang out and chat while I play. I love talking to people while I stream. It's a good time. Finally, the schedule. Tomorrow, I will be streaming the Path of Exile 2 announcement stream at 2... But I'm going to start between 2:30 and 2:45 p.m. EST. Friday is to be determined. I really need to talk to that patron and get what they want me to play. Saturday will, of course, be our weekly Final Fantasy XIV stream. Sunday, I will be starting a new run of Star Control 2, trying to get the good ending for a patron. Monday, I will be playing Tactical Breach Wizards for a patron. And next Tuesday, I'll be continuing Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney for a patron. And next Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be continuing Grimstone in UFO 50 for a patron. So yeah, that's what's coming up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And I will see you next time.
As you can see, the machine is not working yet since... Wait, what in the holy hell is going on? You got the trophy? Why did the machine work? Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago. Who fixed it? Is someone here? Are we being watched? Oh, God. Composure. Composure.
I should have known there'd be dialogue.
Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended. It truly speaks to the awe-inspiring magic of the Stanley Parable 2. Breathe. Just breathe.
All right. Later, guys.